but England fans definitely had something to cheer about. Brilliant century from Bairstow. The first for England in this series as well. I mean, we're saying better late than never, I suppose, in here.
Yeah, an outstanding innings from Jonny. I mean, I hold Jonny in very high regard. I think he's a player that perhaps should have been there consistently over the last 4 years. I know he's been in and out. His form has been spoken about. I think that's largely to do with the appointment of Jos Buttler as keeper. I think that really destabilised Jonny's game somewhat. He couldn't really find any consistency. And then I think he's gone down a bit of a bad pattern with his batting. But just looking at the one thing you know about Jonny is it means so much to him. He brings so much to the team in terms of his fight, in terms of his resilience. And he's got the ability to really go through the gears, I mean, and take bowlers down. And we've seen that in white ball cricket. But just incredible to see him do that now on the big stage in an Ashes series.
Of course, it wasn't just Jonny Bairstow with his century. Ben Stokes made a half century, but he was really batting through the pain, wasn't he? He's got this side strain. And I think the concern here isn't just about his ability to play in the remainder of this test and the next test, but potentially a bit longer term than that. I mean, that is a real concern, isn't it, for England?
Yeah, I have to say side strains aren't fun. And when it comes to playing cricket, it's probably one of the most important muscles that you've got. You feel it all the time. You know, look, to be honest with you, I think Stokes is going to be more of a batter as the years go on. I think he's obviously a guy that can make an impact with the ball. But I think most importantly, we need him batting and batting well. It's taken him a while to get into the series. You know, we know that he's been out of cricket for some time. And it's probably taken 2-3 test matches for him to find his feet, find his rhythm. But I think that little partnership there was just exactly what England needed in terms of being able to get together, get that middle order, that engine room, because that's where England really have their strength. And, you know, if they're going to get back into this test match, they need to get another 50 or 60, I would say.
OK, well, let's have a look at the top order then, because it was another poor display, wasn't it? If we look at Haseeb Hameed, his 5th consecutive single-figure score, do you expect changes to be made?
Look, the question you've got to ask yourself is what changes are you making and are the players coming in any better? You know, Haseeb's a good young player. This is second go at it. But I think some of the worrying signs, I would say, is the fact that none of his technical deficiencies have really altered much in the last 4 or 5 years. And that would be a concern to me. What work is he doing and what corrections are going on? You cannot do that in an Ashes series. It's very, very difficult. You know, you want to make sure players are going in with as much confidence as they can. This is off-season work, and this is something they'll have to address come the start of the new season. You know, what batsmen are putting their hands up? There's an opportunity at the top of the order to stake a claim, and I think that's an area where England have really struggled in the last 4 years.
Nick, let's just focus on one specific moment in today's play at the SCG. And it was quite bizarre. I'm sure you know what we're referring to here. So Ben Stokes shouldering arms to a ball, and it had an almighty noise on the way through. He was then given out LBW, but the ball nowhere near his pad. And in fact, it hit it off stump and it got into the gloves of Alex Carey. But of course, the bells weren't dislodged, so he wasn't out. He remained at the crease. What did you make of that whole moment there?
I think that's probably what you call one of the best feelings in the world. you hear the sign of doom, but look behind you, and the bells are still on. So you should just look up, thank the gods, and carry on, and make sure you really cash in. But it has happened before. All you say to yourself is, it's got to be my day today.
Well, Nick, the little master, Sachin Tendulkar, says that there should be a rule change if the wicket is struck by the bowler. They should get the wicket. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't. I think, you know, the bails are there for a reason, and if they don't come off, they don't come off. I guess it's one of the old sort of, you know, I suppose it's part of the history. It's part of the game. You know, look, if you start changing that, you start changing everything. I know, obviously, technology is coming more and more into every sport, you know, including cricket. But I would argue that it's not always for the better.
Nick, when we contrast England's red ball fortunes with their white ball fortunes, you could barely get a bigger gulf right now. And they are now, in fact, bottom of the World Test Championship table. So in the 5-day format, England are ranked bottom. How concerning is that going forward?
I think it's hugely concerning. I think this tour has been a massive concern overall. I think the planning, the preparation, the selection has been somewhat of a shambles at times. It hasn't just been this series. I think if we look back to India, some of the selections have been poor. You know, Ashley Giles came in, he got rid of the selectors, and he's pretty much dumped all the weight of expectation on one man. And I think it's a very difficult job to do. I mean, there's 3 forms of the game now, very competitive forms of the game. And to put that on one man as a coach is one thing, but to put the selection on him as well is very difficult. When you're immersed in the competition with your captain, it's quite hard to see the wood from the trees at times. You need external cricketing people who have a real feel for the game, assisting with decisions like that. But I think we've got to look at the system as a whole. White ball has been prioritised to the detriment of Test cricket for some time now. And Jonny Bairstow's interview at the end of the day said that it's taken him a while to get back into 4-day mode, Test match mode, having played all these franchise tournaments around the world. Yes, some of it sits on the players' shoulders. They've got to make decisions too. Are they going to chase the money, or they're going to prioritise their longer form of the game? It is a decision that cricketers need to make now, but certainly one that I think England need to really look at this series. They have to go back, they have to review it, and let's hope the right people are reviewing the series and make the right decisions moving forward.
Nick, we can't let you go without asking for a prediction for day 4.
Come on, Nick.
What do you think,
Let's
Nick?
be positive.
Don't
what's
be
going to happen
swayed by
here?
David. You just tell us what you think.
I'm feeling more positive, I have to say. Look, I think the draw is probably a likely result. If England can get 50 or 60 more, given the weather conditions, I don't think there's some great weather over the next few days. I think a draw would be a good, solid result for England. I'm not going to say they're going to win. They're still behind. It's a wicket that's deteriorating a little bit, going up and down as we've seen. And Australia in the form that they are, it would be hard to say that, England, it would be very difficult for England to win this game. But I think a draw would be a very, very good result going into the Test match after this, the last Test match.
England to avoid the whitewash. Fingers crossed. Nick, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.